Hi there, my name is Olivia, and I'm doing a video history project for the Historical Society, and today I'm going to be interviewing my mother. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, so I'm Christina Chavez. I'm 51. I live in Pendle. I'm a CFO for a fundraising and advocacy company in Berkeley, and we help nonprofits raise money and awareness.
Okay. The purpose of this project is to learn more about the families of Pinole and through storytelling. So what is your earliest memory in Pinole?
My earliest memory in Pinole is probably when the realtor brought us through Pinole looking at houses when we were looking for a house to buy as a child. It was 1978, so I was 8 years old, and we were trying to buy a house, wanting to buy a house, my mother and stepfather, and we were driving around and we looked at several houses in Pinole.
So where were your parents' families from, and why did they choose Pinole?
So my mother's family was from her mother was from Kansas, from the Midwest, and her father was from Northeast California. And my dad's family, my grandmother on that side was from Alabama. That's where she had grown up, and she came to California when she married my grandfather. And my grandfather was, on my dad's side, was from Michoacan, Mexico, and his family came here when they came to California, actually to Berkeley, when he was a small boy.
Okay, and why did they pick Pinole?
My parents, my mom and my stepdad picked Pinole. We were living in El Cerrito at the time. We were renting a house, and they had never owned a house, and they were looking to buy something, and they couldn't afford anything sort of in that area. And so I think Pinole was more affordable. Our house, I think, was $60,000 when we bought it in 1978. It was a 3-bedroom house, and they liked that it was affordable and the schools were good. We had an elementary school and a high school right by us. And it seemed like a really nice, small family community. And it had that small town feel, but still close to everything.
And what did your parents do for work back then?
So my stepdad owned his own business. He owned the Carpet Doctor. And it was most of the business was carpet cleaning. He had 2 vans that would go out and do like carpet cleaning in houses, and then carpet installation. And then my mom did, for most of my childhood, my mom did the books for him. So she did all the office and scheduling and all of that.
Okay. When you were growing up, what was Pinole like? How were the schools like here?
It was really fun. I mean, I guess I don't have much to compare it to since we moved here when I was 8, but I had a really fun childhood. I had a lot of fun. We would, you figure I came here in 1978. So when I was 10, it was 1980, and the 80s were really fun. And Pinole, again, it still felt small, but it was, we would roller skate, and our families didn't worry about us. They just knew, we knew that when it like that old saying, but it's like when it would get dark, we knew to just head home. And so they didn't know where we were. We were on the street somewhere. We would ride our bikes or, slide down the weed hills on cardboard, and, play at the school. And we just had a great time. It was a lot of fun. It was actually a lot of fun. Summers were really, really hot, and you just played with the hose and you were a kid.
So you went to 2 schools in Pinole, right? You went to Ellahorst and the high school. So do you want to tell me what those were like back then?
Ellahorst, to me, it hasn't changed a lot. It had that same small community, very involved. Parents were involved, and teachers really cared, and the school was, clean and nice, and it felt really safe. And I don't know, I really liked it, and I liked it when my kids then went to Ellahorst. I felt I didn't have any second thoughts about sending them from my experience, and then from seeing now what it's like. And the high school, it's funny, the high school was the original building that I went to. I graduated in 1988, and it was fun. It had that again, I guess I keep saying the same thing, but it was that small town feeling.
What was your fondest high school memory then?
My one fondest high school memory? I don't know if I have one. I enjoyed all the activities. We had, donkey basketball and the going to the games. And
do you want to elaborate on donkey basketball?
Sure. Donkey basketball is as it sounds. You rode a donkey around the gym. It was something the seniors got to do. You rode a donkey around the gym and played basketball.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind
So,
of probably pretty inhumane.
Now that you've reflected on what Pinole was like back then, can you compare and contrast that to how it is now? Is it mostly the same, different?
I think parts are very much the same, and that's why I have chosen to stay here and why I wanted to raise my kids here and felt good about that. I feel like it still has the small feeling, but yet you're very close to everything. In 15 minutes, you can be to Berkeley. You can be really, in a short time, you can be in a city. I think Pendle has become more diverse as far as its population. I remember going to school, and definitely it wasn't all white, but it was probably primarily white. And I think that it has grown. I think the Hispanic community has grown. I think, I think that it's much more diverse. It's more, I guess, in line with what I think of as, the actual population of the United States.
Were there any major events going on in the world or just in the community at the time? And how did that affect you in the town?
Well, so growing up, I guess the biggest thing would be, it was actually as I was graduating high school. It happened the day I was at graduation practice, and that is Amber Swartz was abducted from her front yard. And I actually used to babysit Amber, and so we knew her family, and that's probably the biggest thing that was going on that I can think of that was super local, that happened right here.
Did that have a big impact on the town or the city? I mean?
It did. It was a feeling where everything felt kind of unsafe all of a sudden, at least to me. It felt very strange. Actually, to back up, because the two big things, and it's ironic, unfortunately, that they're both tied, but the first really big thing that happened, and I believe it was 1980, because I believe I was about 10. We were coming home from being out of town, and the police stopped us as we came off, the exit, and all of driving down Pinole Valley Road at every single court, a lot of those streets are courts, right? There was a police officer standing in front of his gun with his rifle, and the National Guard, or the SWAT team pulled into the high school parking lot, and they were, assembling out. I think it was a Saturday. Anyway, and there's helicopters, and it was just awful chaos and a fear feeling. And it was when Bernie Swartz was the police officer, had been shot, I think down sort of in one of the parts of the creek. And so that was a really awful, terrible feeling. And then, of course, fast forward about 8 years, and his daughter, Amber, Kim, the mom, was actually pregnant at the time with Amber when the husband was shot. Amber was taken from their front yard. And so those were things where it felt like the world kind of scooped in and touched us in a really bad way and made it feel less safe here. I would say those are still marks that I think we all carry, because the town came together to help look for Amber and to care about the family. There was a lot of community and care for them, but it's a scar on our town. And to see the Amber Park that I walk by every day when I walk my dog, it's a constant memory of what happened.
Yeah. So going back to the year when you graduated high school and this was all happening, what did you do following that? I know that you left Pinole.
So I was trying to figure myself out. I didn't go off to college. I started working, and first we were renting just an apartment, actually over near Hilltop, and then eventually we were renting a condo in Hercules, and that's where we lived for several years until we were ready to look for a house to buy.
Okay. And then what year did you buy the house that you live in right now?
So we bought our first house, our only house, in Pinole in 1995.
Okay. Do you enjoy living in Pinole? Are you glad that you made the choice to come back?
I am. Sometimes I think it's crazy that I never got away, really. I got a little bit away from Pinole, but I don't regret it. I still like it here. I love to walk on the fire trails and, a few steps and you can be where it feels isolated and beautiful and feels country. It has that element to it. It's changed with the shops, obviously. The stores have changed a lot and bring in more people. And there's good and bad probably to that. But I don't regret it. I would do it again if I went back. I like it here. I still like it here.
But before we close it off, do you have any other fond memories of Pinole that you want to share?
One thing that I think that comes to mind that I haven't thought about for a really long time, but I remember, and I don't know if it went all the way through when I was in high school. I feel like by the time I was in high school, which would have been 1985 was my first, or 84, 85 was my first year in high school. But what used to happen on Friday nights is the lowriders would all kind of like a lowrider club or whatever, car club would kind of assimilate or, gather and go up and down Pinole Valley Road. And it was just really fun. It was really a neat thing with they would do their hydraulics and they would play music and everybody, it didn't feel like it was like they were being bad or dangerous. It was just a way to show off their cars and appreciate their cars and a place for them to be. And then in fact, my sister ended up dating a young man who had one of those cars. And so I got to be in it one time. So that was pretty funny to be on the other side of it and watch all the people looking at us in the cool car with the cool hydraulics to go up and down. And I don't know, that was really fun. I also remember, it's crazy to think about it now. It's almost hard to remember it, but before the Fitzgerald Shopping Center was there, none of that was even there, and that's crazy to think about because it was just a pasture, and that it became this big shopping center.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.